China might be the central focus of the emerging empire, but it isn't without its fair share of problems. The level of risk which those in China are willing to stomach keeps getting larger and larger. Eventually, this will force the central bank in China to support the failures and kick the can down the road yet again. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today I have a quick video for you. Want to begin with this. Bad debt bonanza. Chinese banks' non-performing loans are at a 12-year high. And you could see this for yourself, the way that this has been going. Ever since the financial crisis occurred, you can see the trend. It's pretty clear. And this is no different than what we see in the West as well. So the non-performing loans tell me that people are taking too much risk. They're extending themselves way too much, and perhaps they are buying big ticket items that they truthfully could not afford. So that, I believe, is very important. I want to switch gears for a moment, talk about the bloodbath that was going on in cryptocurrencies. We can see that Ethereum, as an example, took a major beating. This, however, is after a massive run-up. So whenever you look at cryptocurrencies, whenever you look at precious metals, whenever you look at stocks, you have to understand where they've come from. So if perhaps the stock drops 2%, that might be significant on a day view, but when you look at it over the last 3 months and maybe a year or more, it suddenly seems like just a blip. So I want you to always put things into context. Remember, that's very important. Low interest rates justify high valuations. It's pretty clear. I mean, you're looking at this orangish line here, and you can see that that's the S&P going upward. At the same time, you have your interest rates essentially have declined. There is a direct inverse relationship in between interest rates and the stock market. If they continue to stay down and money keeps free flowing, there's no telling how high the stock market could go. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Look at this. This is a auction site in China. And this basically talks about or gets into all different things to purchase. One of them being non-performing loans. Other one is bad debt. You're looking at all kinds of strange things have appeared here. But I just thought it was really funny when you see bad debt appearing on an auction site in China. You know that that is in its true abundance. And this doesn't look good for the situation where we have more and more and more debt being accumulated. And it's not just in the US. Don't ever think that for a second. This is happening globally. Even Jamie Dimon, one of the minions of the system, saying that the unwinding of central bank bond buying programs is an unprecedented challenge that may be more disruptive than people think. We've never had QE like this before. We've never had an unwinding like this before. Obviously, that should say something. You think about the risk that might mean because we've never lived with it before. And essentially what he gets into here, he also says the fact that we don't know what's going to happen. Now, in a way, it's basically saying, let the free money keep flowing because I need to get paid. But at the same time, it's truth. They don't know what's going to happen if they unwind the balance sheet. This has been an experiment that has never been done ever in history. I have an idea of where it's going to head. You know, this article is talking about Seattle, how expensive it has become and so forth. I'm just going to go ahead and move on to this. Participation rates. When you see that those who are supposed to be retired simply can't do so and they continue to work, that's a very strange piece of the demographic puzzle. When you see that youth are more unemployed now than ever before, and then you see those who generally would have been retiring, those over 65, are staying in the workforce. Now, some of those who are perhaps more elderly, some would agree that that's taking some of the jobs from the youth, but I don't really factor it in like that. I factor it in as the jobs are disappearing. Those who have their job and require a job are holding on to it for dear life. And simply you have all of these different new technologies which are coming on board. You have general economic disaster, to say the least, which is happening, and it's causing this. So there's multiple reasons for it. Workers of the world. About a third of current workers in the US and Japan expect to work past the age of 70. This is one very obvious country when you look at Japan. They even have a word for death by working too much, essentially. And when there's two colors here: expecting to retire past the age of 70, and then the sort of pinkish type color is expecting to never retire. And that, to me, shows it's not necessarily people who say, you know what am I going to do at home? I'm just going to be sitting there on the couch. I might as well work. That's not what this is. Of course, some of it is, but generally, it's people can't afford their bills. Food is too expensive, electricity is too expensive, and they've got a whole pile of debt on their back, and they simply need to pay it off. So what do? Well, they keep working, and they keep working, and they keep working. That's the way it goes. And last but not least, this was amazing in a bad way. If you type into YouTube Venezuela Mad Max, you get this video, and it's insane. You see this essentially motorcycle gang following this truck. They throw Molotov cocktails at it. Finally, they take it over, and it looks like, I want to say, scavengers on a carcass, literally like tearing it up, trying to take what it has. I mean, it's crazy to see that this is what will happen. We talk about the Mad Max scenario all the time. It's literally happening in Venezuela now. But look in the mainstream media. Do you see it being talked about? Not at all. Look in the alternative media. Not really, not regularly anyway. And it's something that just needs to be brought up over and over again, because there's always bad news coming out of Venezuela. This is extreme. But the reason I mention it is not to talk about Venezuela, but think about your city that you're in. This could happen so easily, and we will not be ready. Most people will not be ready. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you will find my books, The Money GPS and my new release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can flip through the books at Amazon. There are links in the description below. Take care.